Hello and welcome to today's Kitco Canadian Allocated Storage Program webcast. We have just a few announcements before we begin. The slides will advance automatically throughout the presentation. Should you need technical assistance, click on the help link. If your screen freezes or the slides do not appear to be advancing as they should, please try exiting and restarting the session, as it may be an issue with your connectivity. At any time, you can submit a question using the Ask a Question box located in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. I will now turn the call over to Sonia Dore so that we may begin. Please go ahead.
Welcome, everybody, to the Canadian Allocated Storage Program webinar. Today, here as our guest speaker is Peter Hug, and I'd just like to introduce him to all of you. Peter Hug has been involved in the precious metals industry since 1974. He began gaining first-hand investment industry experience at Deep Pereira. As Senior Vice President of the Metals Division at Guardian Trust Company, they became one of the largest international trading houses for precious metals. He developed the first precious metals certificate program and the first margin trading accounts for metals on the cash market. Peter has acquired extensive experience and acumen in the wholesale markets and international asset diversification. A speaker at precious metal conferences and in the financial media, he is one of a handful of experts who have succeeded through the multiple bull and bear cycles on the strength and skills honed during the dramatic fluctuations of the 1980s. As director of Kitco's Precious Metals Division, Peter develops newer and better investment options for Kitco's customers. And one of them is what we're presenting to you today, the Canadian Allocated Storage Program. So now I'm handing it over to Peter. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Good afternoon, everyone. The slides you see will be self-explanatory, so I won't waste your precious time, pun intended, by simply rereading them for you. My key message today will center around the psychology of why you would purchase physical metals in the first place, and then to suggest that once this decision is reached, to consider holding these assets outside of your country of residence. Many investors are familiar with the term asset diversification, but geographical diversification, especially when it came to metals, has escaped the general investor. This brings me to the question, why would you buy physical precious metals? If your orientation is capital gains, there are much more suitable options available to investors. Physical metals carry sometimes large spreads between bid and offer. For example, the spread on a maple leaf gold coin is as much as 3% between the bid and offer, which at current gold value is almost $50 an ounce. Physical metals also pose a security risk if you have them delivered, or carry a storage charge if you want a third-party safekeeping arrangement. Unallocated trading accounts, ETFs, futures contracts, options contracts, and even mutual funds offer a much more affordable option to the trader. The primary reason I have found in discussions with investors over the past 30 years for buying physical metals is privacy. Clients perceive physical precious metals not only as a hedge against the obvious, i.e. the diminishing relevance of paper assets in a debt-ridden world, with the very real prospects of inflation returning due to massive global stimulation now underway, but as an asset outside of the reach of government intrusion. Our American clients are nervous about government confiscation. This concern is now being shared by our European friends as they witness severe austerity measures and the not-so-subtle shift towards government involvement in their daily affairs. Besides the privacy, the other most important factor is liquidity. The home option may answer your first need, assuming you have no security concerns. Insuring your metals, however, defeats the privacy motivation. But what if you need to liquidate the asset? You will either have to bring it in person or arrange to have it delivered to a dealer, which, although not currently a major risk, other than price movement, may down the road encompass reporting. You would have to assume that if the government banned the ownership of gold, that the resident dealers would at a minimum have to report the transactions. I apologize for the roundabout way I have approached geographical diversification, but logically, why would you consider storing physical metal at a third-party depository in your country of residence? It makes absolutely no sense. In many countries, and my U.S. friends tell me in the U.S. as well, the government has general subpoena rights. That means the government can issue a general subpoena to a company, which then has to turn over all records. So one bad apple may affect the whole barrel. The other issue to be aware of is that resident companies may have foreign affiliate or assets. Therefore, a Canadian company that is controlled by a U.S. parent may fall under U.S. compliance. Items to be checked by a prudent investor with the aid of an attorney or a well-versed international accountant. You must also take into account the financial position of your resident country. We are getting a lot of calls lately from Greece and Spain. But look at the U.S. trillion-dollar deficits, no balanced budget in sight, unemployment continues higher. The real number is probably closer to 15% than the 8.2% the government posts. Governments need money. In the 70s and 80s, many Western countries had exchange controls. Prominent economists suggest they may return to certain European countries. Geographical diversification is something that needs to take place ahead of the issues. Once exchange controls are in place, capital movement stops. So why Canada? In Canada, there are no general subpoena rights. In Canada, for us to open our records, the government has to come with a direct subpoena for a specific account. They cannot go on a fishing expedition. If American authorities approach the Canadian company with a subpoena, the Canadian company has absolutely no legal obligation to respond. The American authorities need to go through the Canadian authorities, which then again would issue direct subpoena, not general subpoena. Canada also has an economy where 60% of the GDP is based on mineralization. Many of our jobs and many of our economic strengths are based on the mining industry in Canada. It is extremely unlikely that Canada would ever impose sanctions against gold ownership that have once been imposed in the United States. Canada, from a historical perspective, has never banned the ownership of metals. Canada is also one of the best performing G8 economies. It's extremely stable, both economically and morally. The other advantage to our American friends is the proximity. For most of our American clients, Canada is a relatively short drive. Next question, why Kitco? Kitco, a company that has served the industry since 1977. There are so many new companies that have emerged over the past 5 years with grandiose promises and stating that they are the best. None of these companies have ever experienced a downturn. There are a handful of companies that have prospered and survived as long as Kitco. You want a stable company with expertise. For the sake of a marketing point, the management at Kitco has a combined industry experience of well over 150 years. Kitco's program offers competitive pricing, external audit control, online monitoring of your positions. We are the largest metals suppliers in North America to the retail market. We have global logistics reach. We can ship your metals anywhere in the world. We have access to products at source. We have distribution arrangements with the Royal Canadian Mint, the Mexican Mint, the Australian Mint, the Perth Mint. We have 24/7 trading accessibility to your account. And most important, we are 100% Canadian-owned. Our storage provider is the largest security operation in Canada, holding assets for 90% of all of the Canadian banking industry. Just let me go a little bit over the slides, more on the basis of what Kitco's CAS program is. The program itself is obviously the purchase of physical metals that are segregated and held in your name. The advantages of Kitco's program, I've already gone over some of the advantages in dealing with Kitco, but some of the advantages specific to the program are that you have the storage in Canada, one of the most stable countries. Our storage arrangement is with a non-regulated top-tier secure storage facility. We have competitive fees and charges. We have annual independent reports, detailed monthly statements, full insurance coverage at replacement cost, and a company that's been around since 1977. Some of the comparisons, I'll let you read the slide for yourself, but a few of the comparisons that I just wanted to bring to your attention is that we have tiered pricing on our storage. We don't have a flat rate that fits all. So the more you wish to store with us, the more competitive the pricing. We charge our storage as you hold the metal with us. Many storage providers charge you storage 1 year in advance. So if you sell your metals in 3 months, you've still paid a full year of storage. We have regular and extensive both internal and external audits. You have access to your account. You can check your holdings live on a daily basis. And you have monthly statements. Some storage providers only provide quarterly or semi-annual statements. It's an easy program to deal in. If you have transaction volumes, we also give you preferred pricing on the physical metal. So if you are going to buy physical because you're concerned, and if you are concerned, doesn't geographical diversification make sense? Thank you very much.
Okay, so now we're just going to go through a couple of the questions that we're receiving from our audience members. In total for the presentation today, we're going to answer 3 questions. So the first questions that I have here from our audience member is, can I ship my own physical material to Kitco for inclusion in the CAS program?
No, we thought long and hard about that, and we decided against it. We offer very competitive swap arrangements for clients that want to deliver metal to our U.S. Logistics offices in the United States, and we'll replace those metals with mint-supplied product up here in Canada. The reason we do that is we do not sell to our clients, whether it's for the CAS program or just generally for clients that want physical, any metal that we rebuy from clients. We ensure that all metal that we supply to our clients are sourced directly from the manufacturer. In the case of maple leafs, directly from the Royal Canadian Mint. In the case of bars, directly from manufacturers such as Johnson Matthey or the Perth Mint. So the issue is if we bring in product from clients where that product has been obtained by the client from other dealers, and something turns out to be wrong with the product in the future, we find it difficult from a perspective of being able to stand behind the product. So therefore, we will only accept material into our CAS program that has been purchased through Kitco.
Okay. Thank you. Another question that we're receiving from the audience members is Kitco obligated to report metal transactions to the U.S. or Canadian government?
The metals business in Canada is totally unregulated, and there are no reporting requirements to the Canadian government, and certainly no reporting requirements to the American government. Again, if we are approached by a legitimate Canadian authority with a direct subpoena for a specific name and a specific account number, it is our legal obligation to turn over that account, but we will not, under general subpoena from the United States, respond to any subpoena request, nor is there general subpoena rights in Canada. So they have to be specifically logged through our legal department and then handled on a one-by-one basis.
Thank you. And another quick question. To open a Canadian allocated storage account, where do I go and who do I contact?
The easiest thing is just to call Kitco. You can come onto our website, and there is a microsite for CAS. But if you're interested in opening a Canadian allocated storage account, or if you have specific questions, you can call us at 1-877-775-4826, which is toll-free in the U.S. and Canada. Or for any of our local clients in the province of Quebec, you can dial 514-313-9999.
Thank you very much. And for anybody who has questions, we also have an email address at cas@kitco.com. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you, Peter. You were a wonderful speaker today.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Have a great day, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for your time and attention. This webcast is now concluded.